there, and thank you for joining us on Zanis TV on this special program, Zambia 2026 Elections Program. My name is Victor Mwila. As Zambia prepares for the general elections scheduled for August 13, 2026, the role of the media in informing, educating, and empowering citizens has never been more important. The broadcast media serves as a vital bridge between political contestants, the electorate, and several institutions. But with that responsibility also comes with the need for professionalism, fairness, accuracy, and adherence to ethical standards. To help guide broadcasters during this important period, the Independent Broadcasting Authority, IBA, has developed the 2026 election coverage guidelines aimed at promoting balanced, fair, and credible election reporting. So today, we are joined by the Director General of the Independent Broadcasting Authority, IBA, Mr. Webster Malido, to discuss the guidelines and what they mean for broadcasters, political players, and the public. Mr. Malido, I would like to welcome you to this special discussion as we are nearing August 13, 2026, in this election cycle.
Thank you so much, Victor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So the IBA has described these guidelines as a critical tool for strengthening the integrity and credibility of the election reporting. From your point of view as an authority, what informed the development of these guidelines and why are they particularly important ahead of this August?
Yes, sure. So the guidelines were developed to provide broadcasters who we license and regulate with a very clear framework for professional, ethical, and responsible election coverage. Victor, these guidelines seek to promote accurate, fair, and balanced reporting during a period when citizens rely heavily on the media for electoral information. And so the evolving media landscape itself, including the rapid spread of information through digital platforms, has also increased the need for clear standards on election reporting. So these guidelines really are there to help broadcasters understand their responsibilities and obligations during elections. And they are particularly important ahead of the August 13 elections because we believe that they will promote public confidence in the media and contribute to a peaceful, transparent, and credible electoral process. And so the election coverage guidelines cover a number of areas. These include fair and balanced reporting to ensure that there is equitable and impartial coverage of all political parties and candidates taking part in the elections. They speak to the need for equitable allocation of airtime, which requires broadcasters to divide available advertising time on an equitable basis. This is to ensure that there is fair access for all political parties and candidates during campaigns. The guidelines also speak to the conduct of political interviews and debates. This is to promote fairness, professionalism, and impartiality by broadcasters. We have also guided in terms of reporting on opinion polls. This is to, again, ensure transparent disclosure of sources, sponsors, sample sizes, and other relevant information that goes with opinion polls. And then there's guidelines on coverage of polling day activities, where we have highlighted to broadcasters on the prohibition that goes with campaign interviews, campaign-related interviews for political parties or candidates. That also includes prohibition in terms of prediction of election results on polling day itself. And then we also guide in terms of the announcement of election results, where we are saying any such announcement should be based purely on verified and officially confirmed information. And then lastly but not least, Victor, the guidelines also speak to the complaints handling process. We expect that there will be heightened complaints, both even by candidates or political parties. We've shortened the period for the stations to handle any complaints related to electoral reporting from the traditional 14 days to just about 2 days. We expect that stations should handle any complaints related to elections within 2 days. And on our side as IBA, we should be able then to investigate and review those complaints and resolve them within 4 days. And so these, the provisions. So broadly, these are the guidelines that we've set out to the broadcast stations.
Yeah, so one of the key principles that have been highlighted in these guidelines pertains to fairness and balance in covering different contestants. So, and this issue has been coming up time and again. How are these guidelines addressing this issue? And I know before the elections, political parties will see political party A, political party B is in this direction. And usually complaints have been coming out from certain quarters. We are not being covered as much as this political party A is being covered on this particular platform. How are these guidelines ensuring that that is no longer the case?
Yes, Victor. The guidelines require broadcasters to provide equitable and fair coverage to all political parties and candidates taking part in the elections. In particular to this guideline on equitable access, what we are saying is that we expect broadcasters to avoid favoring or disadvantaging any political participant in these elections. And so we expect that news, interviews, debates, political programs should be conducted in an impartial manner. Political viewpoints should be presented fairly and also allowing audiences to hear diverse perspectives. Editorial, we are saying editorial decisions should be guided by professional news values rather than political considerations. And broadcasters are also encouraged to maintain transparent and consistent standards when allocating airtime and coverage.
Misinformation and disinformation have become major concerns during elections globally, not only in Zambia. So we would like to know from you, as an authority, what obligations do these guidelines place on broadcasters to ensure that they verify information before sending it out? Information, of course, related to election coverage.
Yes, Victor, and this is very, very important because our interest is in the integrity of the information that goes out to audiences. So we expect that broadcasters should be able to verify election-related information before publication or broadcast. They should rely on credible, authoritative, and verifiable official sources of information. And we're also saying that allegations, claims, and accusations, must be thoroughly checked before being aired because, there's that risk and there's a tendency, during this period for that to happen. We are also saying broadcasters should be able to put in place measures to distinguish clearly, what is facts, what is opinion, and what is commentary. Where incorrect information has been broadcast, in the case of misinformation, we are saying that prompt corrections should be issued. We expect stations to exercise caution, especially when using information sourced from social media platforms and other unverified platforms. So broadcasters have a responsibility to avoid content that may mislead the public or undermine confidence in the electoral process. That is our message.
Okay, let's talk about ethical responsibilities, and I know you've touched on this. What are some of the common ethical pitfalls that broadcasters should avoid during election coverage?
Yes, these include airing unverified allegations or rumors, presenting opinion as fact, biased reporting that unfairly favors or attacks particular candidates or parties, sensationalism and inflammatory reporting that has the potential to incite tension or conflict, hate speech, discriminatory language, or content that promotes violence, manipulation of interviews. With AI now, this can happen. Manipulation of sound bites or images to create misleading impressions, and also failure to provide subjects of allegations with an opportunity to respond, and also accepting undue influence from political actors that compromises the editorial independence of broadcasters.
And we talked about this. Let's talk about political actors. Time and again, political actors are complaining regarding issues of bias in media coverage. What mechanisms has IBA put in place to monitor compliance with the guidelines and ensure that you address complaints from political parties, candidates, or members of the public?
The IBA has monitoring mechanisms in place, and we will work closely with broadcasters throughout the election period. You may also wish to note that the authority has developed an election campaign monitoring strategy. This is to allow us to be able to enhance compliance with the election coverage guidelines that we've issued. We also encourage broadcasters to keep proper records of political advertisements and programming schedules. We want to make sure that there is transparency and accountability in terms of coverage in line with the guidelines that we've issued. We expect broadcasters to comply with the election coverage guidelines and the provisions of the IBA Act and the Broadcasting Code. But the authority will also review complaints, any complaints that will be submitted either by political parties or by candidates or members of the public, and where violations are established, we as the IBA may take appropriate regulatory action in accordance with the law. So the authority will continue engaging with broadcasters and stakeholders to promote compliance and resolve concerns promptly.
Let's talk about community radio. In most places across Zambia, they rely on community radio for information. What role do you think these broadcasters have in as far as promoting participation in the electoral process under the new guidelines?
Yes, Victor. It is important to actually say that community and local radio stations are critical in ensuring that citizens have access to election information in languages they understand. So that speaks to local relevance and diversity when it comes to accessibility in terms of language. They also help to educate voters about the electoral process itself, voting procedures, and important election dates. These stations provide platforms for discussion of local issues that matter to local communities. They also contribute to voter awareness and civic participation at the local level. And so we also believe that the community stations can help to counter misinformation by providing accurate and verified information. Their coverage, and by the way, the community stations broadly cover the entire country. And, but their distribution and coverage of the country actually helps to ensure that rural and underserved communities are not excluded from the national democratic conversation in terms of, being sources of, information. And so, and we'll say that these guidelines, again, encourage broadcasters to remain impartial, accurate, and inclusive in their coverage.
What have you done as IBA in as far as ensuring that broadcasters across the country are aware of these guidelines and they have access to these guidelines?
Yes, Victor. What we did actually before we announced the issuance of these guidelines to the public, we actually shared these guidelines directly with all our licensees. We are speaking to about 260 broadcast stations, a combination of television and radio stations. Our officers who are assigned to each of these stations actually have engaged directly with the stations. And so they have actually received the actual guidelines. And we make sure that we are continuously engaging with the stations. Where there's no clarity, we are engaging with them directly. In some cases, we've actually gone ahead to provide a training session where we've gone through the provisions of these guidelines. Just last week on Friday, we were doing the same for Zanis staff. We were taking Zanis staff through these guidelines, centrally here at the head office, but a number of other staff joined virtually from across the country. So we've actually engaged direct with the broadcasters themselves.
And therefore there should be no excuse in flouting these guidelines.
We do not expect that there should be an excuse to breach these guidelines.
DG, as we are concluding, what message would you like to convey, first of all, to broadcasters? Then let's also talk about political stakeholders and the Zambian electorate in general. What message do you have to convey to these different groups in this year's electoral cycle?
Sure. To broadcasters, our message is that continue to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, fairness, accuracy, and impartiality as you go about reporting on elections. To political parties and candidates, our message is that please, we are encouraging constructive engagement with the media and respect for ethical campaign communication to the electorate or the public. And we urge citizens to seek information from credible sources and to verify information before sharing it. At IBA, we believe that elections are not only a test of our democratic institutions, but also of our collective commitment to truth, responsibility, and national unity. We believe that responsible media coverage will go a long way to help citizens make informed choices. That strengthens public confidence in the democratic process. So we believe that together we can ensure that the August 13 elections are peaceful, credible, and reflective of the democratic values of our nation.
Well, Mr. Madido, I would like to say thank you so much for honoring the invitation to come and appear on this program here on Zanis TV. We really appreciate your coming.
Thank you for the opportunity to engage with your audience.
Well, that's it for today. As Zambia heads towards the August 13, 2026 general elections, responsible journalism and adherence to professional standards will be key to fostering informed decision-making, peaceful participation, and public confidence in the democratic process. Thank you for watching Zambia 2026 elections program. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Victor Mwila. Until next time, it's bye for now.